There are moments in history that don't simply end an empire. They end an entire age. For more than 1,000 years, one city stood between Europe and Asia like an unbreakable fortress. Its walls had humiliated kings. Its towers had mocked conquerors. Persians, Arabs, Bulgarians, Crusaders. Each had come believing they would succeed where others had failed. Each had left behind broken armies. The city survived them all. Its name was Constantinople. People didn't simply see it as another capital. They believed it was protected by destiny itself. As long as Constantinople stood, the Roman Empire still lived. Not the Rome of Julius Caesar, but its last surviving heartbeat, the Byzantine Empire. An empire that had endured for over 1,000 years. But by the spring of 1453, that heartbeat had become dangerously weak. The empire that once ruled the eastern Mediterranean had shrunk to little more than its magnificent capital. Outside its walls, the Ottoman Empire surrounded it from nearly every direction. The city had become an island, trapped on land. And watching from the horizon was a young ruler whose ambition frightened even his closest advisors. He was only 21 years old. Many dismissed him as inexperienced, too young, too impatient, too reckless. They would soon discover they had made the greatest mistake of their lives. His name was Mehmed II. History would remember him by another name, Mehmed the Conqueror. Long before he became Sultan, Mehmed had grown up obsessed with one prophecy, a saying repeated for centuries throughout the Islamic world. It spoke of a leader who would one day conquer Constantinople. Whoever achieved it would earn immortal glory. For most rulers, it remained only a dream. For Mehmed, it became an obsession. He studied every failed siege, every military campaign, every weakness, every mistake. He wasn't preparing for another attack. He was preparing for the final attack, because he believed something no one else dared believe. The city wasn't invincible. People had simply been trying to conquer it the wrong way. The Byzantines knew danger was coming. Their emperor, Constantine XI, walked through streets that had once overflowed with merchants, scholars, and pilgrims from every corner of the known world. Now, many neighborhoods stood nearly empty. Entire districts had fallen into silence. The empire's treasury was almost exhausted. Its army was painfully small. Its allies argued more than they helped. Messages were sent across Europe begging for reinforcements. Some promises arrived. Very few soldiers did. The emperor understood the truth. If Constantinople was going to survive, it would largely have to save itself. Still, the city possessed one extraordinary advantage: the Theodosian walls. For over 1,000 years, they had been considered the greatest defensive structure on Earth. Massive stone walls stretched for miles, layer after layer, moats, inner walls, outer walls, hundreds of towers. Even if attackers breached one barrier, another waited behind it, again and again. Generations of invaders had smashed themselves against these defenses. Most never came close to breaking through. Many believed the walls themselves were impossible to defeat. Mehmed disagreed. He knew brute force alone would fail. Instead, he searched for something history had never truly witnessed, a weapon capable of rewriting warfare itself. That weapon appeared in the form of a mysterious engineer, a man named Orban. He claimed he could build cannons larger than anything ever constructed. Weapons so enormous, their stone projectiles could shatter walls thought to be indestructible. The Byzantine emperor had first been offered the design, but Constantinople had no money, no resources, no way to pay. So Orban crossed the border and offered his invention to Mehmed. The young sultan didn't hesitate. He gave him everything he asked for: money, metal, workers, time. Soon, foundries across the Ottoman Empire roared day and night. Molten bronze flowed like rivers. Entire forests disappeared to feed giant furnaces. Thousands of craftsmen worked without pause. Months later, the impossible stood before them. A cannon so enormous that dozens of oxen were required simply to move it. Its barrel stretched longer than many houses. Its stone cannonballs weighed hundreds of kilograms. Every shot shook the earth itself. People claimed the sound could be heard for miles. It wasn't merely another cannon. It announced the arrival of a completely new age of war. But walls alone would not save Constantinople. Nor would cannons alone guarantee victory. Mehmed understood something many commanders ignored. Wars are won long before the first arrow is fired. They are won through preparation. Throughout the winter, the Ottoman Empire transformed into one enormous military machine. Blacksmiths forged endless swords. Carpenters built siege towers. Engineers prepared bridges. Ships gathered along the coast. Supplies arrived from every province. Soldiers poured toward the capital from every corner of the empire. Infantry, archers, cavalry, janissaries, elite warriors personally loyal to the Sultan. By early spring, one of the largest armies Europe had seen in centuries stood outside Constantinople. Some historians estimate nearly 80,000 soldiers. Others believe it may have been well over 100,000. Whatever the exact number, the defenders knew one thing: they were hopelessly outnumbered. Inside the city, fewer than 8,000 defenders prepared to face an army perhaps 10 times their size. Citizens abandoned ordinary life. Church bells rang constantly. Priests led prayers throughout the streets. Families stored food. Merchants became soldiers. Old men repaired walls. Children carried stones. Everyone understood. They were witnessing history. They simply didn't know whether they would survive to remember it. On April 6, 1453, the waiting ended. The first Ottoman cannon fired. A deafening roar echoed across the valley. Birds exploded into the sky. Windows shattered. The ground trembled beneath Constantinople. Moments later, a massive stone projectile slammed into the legendary walls. For the first time in nearly 1,000 years, the walls that had defeated countless empires began to crack. Not collapse, not yet, but crack. And somewhere behind those walls, Emperor Constantine XI watched dust rise into the sky. He realized something terrifying. This siege would not resemble any siege the city had ever survived before. The walls were still standing, but history had just heard their first cry of pain. The bombardment continued. Day after day, night after night. The giant Ottoman cannons thundered without mercy. Each blast ripped new wounds into walls that had stood for centuries. Yet every evening, the defenders did something remarkable. Under the cover of darkness, priests, merchants, blacksmiths, monks, and exhausted soldiers worked side by side. Broken stones were dragged back into place. Wooden supports reinforced shattered sections. Earth filled fresh craters. By sunrise, the walls stood once again. Not unbroken, but unyielding. The siege had become a race. Could the cannons destroy the walls faster than the defenders could rebuild them? For weeks, the answer remained uncertain. Mehmed realized he wasn't fighting only stone. He was fighting determination. Every failed assault cost lives. Every passing day drained supplies. His advisors began whispering. Some urged him to abandon the siege before his reputation was destroyed. Others reminded him that several mighty sultans had already failed here. Perhaps Constantinople truly was unconquerable, but Mehmed refused to retreat. He hadn't crossed half an empire to become another name on a list of failed conquerors. If the walls refused to surrender, he would find another way inside. One obstacle frustrated him more than the walls themselves: the Golden Horn, a sheltered waterway protecting the northern side of Constantinople. Its entrance was sealed by an enormous iron chain stretched across the harbor. No Ottoman ship could enter. As long as that chain remained, the city's northern defenses were safe. The Byzantine navy was small, but it didn't need to defeat the Ottoman fleet. It only needed to keep them out. Once again, history seemed to favor Constantinople, until Mehmed proposed something so unbelievable. Many thought he was joking. "If the sea is closed," he reportedly declared, "then we will bring the sea to the ships." Hundreds of workers disappeared into the forests overlooking the harbor. Trees were cut down. Roads were cleared. Logs were coated with animal fat and oil until they became almost frictionless. Then, under the cover of darkness, the impossible began. One by one, Ottoman ships were pulled out of the water, up steep hills, across greased wooden tracks, over solid ground. Entire warships moved across a mountain. By dawn, more than 70 Ottoman vessels floated inside the Golden Horn, behind the city's defenses, where they should never have been. The people of Constantinople awoke to a sight that defied reason: enemy ships already inside their harbor. Some believed it was a miracle. Others feared it was divine judgment. Either way, everything had changed. The city was no longer protected on one side. Now, danger surrounded it from every direction. Panic spread. The defenders rushed to build floating barriers. Fire ships attempted desperate attacks. Archers exchanged volleys across the water. Small victories came, but none solved the real problem. The Ottomans had broken the city's greatest natural defense without breaking the chain. It was a masterpiece of military ingenuity, one that stunned Europe. Weeks passed. Food inside Constantinople became scarce. Water had to be rationed. The wounded filled churches. Exhaustion settled over the city like a second siege. Still, Emperor Constantine XI refused every opportunity to flee. His advisors urged him to escape while there was time. He refused. If Constantinople was going to fall, its emperor would fall with it. He exchanged his royal robes for armor. No crown, no throne, only a sword. And the men standing beside him, outside the walls, Mehmed prepared for one final assault. Everything would happen at once. Cannons, archers, siege towers, scaling ladders, naval attacks, wave after wave of infantry. Then, when the defenders were exhausted, the Janissaries, his finest soldiers, the elite of the Ottoman Empire. If they failed, the siege might collapse. If they succeeded, history would never be the same. Before dawn, on May 29, 1453, the attack began. The earth shook beneath thousands of marching feet. War drums echoed through the darkness. Trumpets screamed. Cannons fired one last devastating barrage. Then, the first wave charged. The defenders fought desperately. Stones crashed down from the walls. Arrows darkened the sky. Boiling oil, spears, swords. Every street behind those walls became part of the battlefield. The first attackers were thrown back. Then came the second wave. More soldiers, more ladders, more bodies. Again, the defenders held. But every victory came with a cost. They were running out of strength, running out of ammunition, running out of time. Then, the Janissaries advanced. Disciplined, silent, relentless. One section of the damaged wall finally gave way. At almost the same moment, a small gate, left unsecured during the chaos, allowed Ottoman troops to enter the city. Whether it was fate, confusion, or simple human error, history would debate it for centuries. The result was the same. The defense collapsed. Ottoman banners rose above the walls. Constantinople had been breached. Emperor Constantine XI saw the inevitable. He removed the imperial insignia that identified him as emperor. If he was going to die, he would die as a soldier. His final words are uncertain, but tradition remembers him declaring, "The city is lost, but I still live." Then he charged into the fighting. He was never seen again. His body was never conclusively identified. The last Roman emperor disappeared into the final battle of the Roman Empire. By sunrise, the impossible had happened. After more than 11 centuries, Constantinople had fallen. Church bells fell silent. The Byzantine Empire, the last surviving remnant of ancient Rome, ceased to exist. Mehmed rode through the shattered streets toward the Hagia Sophia, the magnificent cathedral that had symbolized Byzantine power for centuries. He ordered it preserved. Soon, it became the first imperial mosque of his new capital. The city was no longer Constantinople alone. It became the heart of the Ottoman Empire, one of history's greatest superpowers. The consequences reached far beyond those walls. European kingdoms suddenly faced an expanding Ottoman Empire. Trade routes between Europe and Asia became increasingly influenced by Ottoman control. Merchants began searching for new ways to reach the riches of the East. Within decades, Portuguese sailors rounded Africa. Spanish explorers crossed the Atlantic. An age of exploration began. One city's fall helped reshape the entire world. History remembers the siege for its armies, its cannons, and its kings. But perhaps its greatest lesson lies elsewhere. For over 1,000 years, people believed Constantinople could never fall. They trusted walls built by previous generations. They believed yesterday's victories guaranteed tomorrow's safety. They were wrong, because history rarely belongs to those who defend the past. It belongs to those willing to change the rules. Mehmed didn't simply bring a larger army. He brought new technology, new strategy, and a new way of thinking. Sometimes, an empire doesn't fall because its enemies become stronger. It falls because the world changes, and it fails to change with it. The fall of Constantinople wasn't just the end of one empire. It was the moment one age closed and another began. And from the smoke of its shattered walls, the modern world quietly emerged.